Professor Rashant. So the stage is totally yours.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Let me share my screen. I believe you can see my screen. Get a response. Can you see my screen?
It's visible.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, the organizers of GISLA 24 for having me for this guest speech. I'm going to talk about generative AI. Let's start with a small video.
AI versus Uncle Roger. Who makes the better egg fried rice? Let's find out.
Of course, it's me.
GPT for its best recipe, but let's let our favorite uncle go first.
Soak the wok with oil. First thing in with garlic and shallot. Egg leftover chicken rice. Add soy sauce. Just use peeling. Sesame oil. MSG. Spring onion and chili. Nice tossing. So Uncle Roger actually improved my recipe. I use pork lard now instead of oil, and I use white pepper also.
For the AIs.
Heat the oil over medium-high heat. Add the garlic and scramble the beaten eggs. Remove them and stir-fry the diced carrots and peas.
Vegetable.
Create a well and scramble the remaining egg. Add the soy sauce, green onions, and the scrambled eggs. Stir-fry everything together. Season with salt and pepper to taste. Serve hot and enjoy.
This AI fried rice possible. I think medium-high heat not enough for good egg fried rice. And flavor too simple. Just soy sauce. I think you need a bit of MSG.
Let's taste test, starting again with our favorite uncle. He was kidding when he said this is the best egg fried rice recipe. All the garlic, MSG, and chili is so good in this one. I don't think this is the winner, but let's try the other one. This one kind of tastes like a better version of Panda Express fried rice, so the winner is Uncle Roger.
Woo! Okay. Uncle Roger still have a job.
So that's cooking, one of the best form of art. It looks like AI is still behind Uncle Roger in this example in cooking. So we have seen videos of like systems like this.
Let's jump straight in and get your order started. Nice work. Your ice cream order is all sent.
So we seen two videos. One AI or Chat GPT in this example. In the example, giving a recipe to cook fried rice, egg fried rice, and the other one a robo making ice cream. So which one of the two was creative? Because we are talking about GISLA, the AI art competition. Which one of the two was creative, you think? So while you're thinking, let's move on to the topic, generative AI. My name is Roshan Ragal, and I'm going to talk about how generative AI can be part of an artistic evolution. So this is what I'm going to do today quickly. What is generative AI and how it is connected to the big AI term, and then some key areas in generative AI, the intersections between Gen AI or generative AI and arts, some tools that will be useful in generating these art forms. And before we look at like the future trends where we are heading, I will also look at the ethical implications and what are the limitations where Gen AI or AI is limited. Even we saw in the very first video, AI is not even as good as a human in coming up or cooking or coming up with a good recipe for egg fried rice. So let me start with what Gen AI is. So AI is a term that was already introduced at the beginning, even today in the talk, in the session. And AI is out there. The term itself was coined several years, many decades ago, actually. And it stands for a human or software that perform tasks requiring human-like intelligence. Right? So human intelligence and machine software having human-like intelligence is what AI. However, AI has evolved or started evolving into a lot of sub-disciplines. And some of them are very popular these days are things like what is known as machine learning, which is a sub-area of AI. And recently into other fields like deep learning. And now we are into generative AI. That is what we are talking about. So as you can see in the picture, things like generative AI is not just only part of the AI narrowing into this subtopic, but also into other areas like data science, a lot of data, big data coming into picture. So can we use a lot of data to make machines, software intelligent, and also generative in the sense, can it create? So I asked the question earlier, which out of the two was creative? So create new things that are not well. So that's the idea of generative AI. It is part of AI. At the same time, it also comes in cross-discipline with things like data or big data for that matter. In fact, generative AI is using one of the models it uses. AI uses a lot of different models, particularly machine learning and deep learning is known as the large language model. But that's how again this generative AI operates or work. So how generative AI works, given that we looked at a quick intro, how it works is we take a lot of data and make or frame or make come up with a database. A database with connections and which has a lot of this information put together in some form that are connected to each other. And this data can be anything like images, text, data, sound of different forms. And then a generative AI model, what it will do, it will take an input. We call a generative AI input as a prompt. And a prompt usually can be something that we type, or it can be something like a voice. We give a command. And then the prompt takes this input, looks at the database or the model, and generate content or generate output. So what it generates can be anything out of these, can be just text, or it can be image, music, videos, whatnot. So it can generate these things. So that's the working of generative AI. So here we are very, so the first most popular common generative AI tool that was introduced more than a year ago was this tool called ChatGPT, which is a text-based generative AI tool. So the tool is based on the GPT, there stands for generative pre-trained transformers. So pre-trained being the keyword, meaning these things were trained by using a lot of data, and then it's going to take input, let's say a text, and the model will take the text and is going to produce or will output another text. So that's the text models, the generative text model that became popular at the beginning. However, things like the generative idea or using AI for doing generative or generating text, generating content, and using transformers was in research for about 5-6 years now. And particularly in the places like images, videos, and other forms. One of the other networks or transformer that network that are popular, or the transformer that are popular, is generative adversarial networks, or we in short call them GANs, and variational autoencoders. So they are used to make other forms of outputs. Can be images, can be videos, and sound, and so on. So let's quickly look at some key areas where GenAI is used now. So this is just one picture I took from the internet. And some areas that are highlighted in the picture: application landscape, text. So you can make text using a lot of different type of text, in fact, if possible. Marketing type text, sales, knowledge, different type of text. And then you have videos. There are tools that can make videos. There are a large number of tools that can make images, art, pictures. There are tools that can make code for you, voice or speech. They can also make 3D animations and so on. Also, we can use these tools for doing research. So those are common areas. And here are some, there's a lot of examples here. In fact, recently, a website has put the top 200 tools within the year, right? So very fast, 200 with the top 200 tools that are used these days for by people. And you might also know the tool known as ChatGPT, which was introduced first by a company called OpenAI, has become the fastest growing internet tool, right? So it has a large number of audience by now. So these tools, the examples here are a few for text. These are very popular: ChatGPT from OpenAI, Copilot from Microsoft, Bard from Google, and so on. There are also other tools for generating things like images. DALL-E is one, again, from OpenAI. Midjourney is another one. They generate images. There are tools that are focused on specific areas, things like solving math problem. There's one called MathGPT. There is one from a company called Consensus. They have made a tool that can be used for doing scientific research, particularly literature review type work. So the tool got trained on 200 million academic research papers. And there are many other tools. So one other tool could be in the code area is one from GitHub, known as GitHub Copilot, that can help you code with you. So just to take a few examples from this list, one, we'll start with ChatGPT being very popular. You can ask it to write text, write poems, write reports, write paragraphs, all sort of different things. And also you can ask it to write things a bit different, right? So for example, here is one to write about data taking over the world, including the word egg. So it brings up new ideas or new text based on an idea that was given as a prompt. And this is considered to be creative because, or something that is created because that the text that it output was not there earlier. Right, so where we can use text generation in real life, we can use it in communications. For example, if you want to write response email in a communication, can you use it? Or you can use it in communicate all sort of different communication, even mass media, journalism, publishing, creative writing, and also as writing assistant. So you can use it in a lot of different places in real life. More on text generation. Last time I took ChatGPT as an example. Here is a different example from Bing Chat, or they also call it Copilot from Microsoft. So it's coming as part of Microsoft Edge, the browser. So here is, now that the theme for GISLA 24 is climate change, here's a poem on climate change and how it will impact human survival. So it writes a decent poem. Maybe just not as with the details as a real poet, but it writes a poem. The earth is warming, the ice is melting, the seas are rising, the storms are raging, and it goes on. And so that's again text generated using Copilot or Bing Chat. Where else can we use the text tool? One other place is document summarization. So here is a document that was put out by UNESCO, the UN agency for academic work or education. So they put out a guidance for generative AI in education and research. So we have asked a tool to take this and summarize it, so it can give you a summary. The report is very long, but here is a summary of the report. It and so on. Code generation, I mentioned this earlier. GitHub Copilot. GitHub is very popular for code repos or repositories, as you know. Can we ask GitHub Copilot to write some code for us, write a script to change a website's background color to in Python, programming language, what to do, what action to do, and it produces code. Where can we use it? Obviously, we can use it for, in this example, for web design, software development, and so on. So even if you want to do something else, like build a robot, like the ice cream maker, you might need some code, and you can ask GitHub Copilot to help you write it. Moving on from text to image, here is a tool called Midjourney, but it generates it. It takes image prompts, text prompts, and produces images. So here are three different prompts: a rabbit wearing a sun hat, Santa Claus in a blue outfit, a watercolor of a red bicycle in front of a waterfall. So the three images. Where can we use it? Obviously, we can use it in competition like what we are running here, the GISLA 24. Or we can use it in advertisements, published illustrations, corporate visuals. Even as you know, images are the source or the base for videos. So we can even use them for making videos. So how GenAI and arts come together? In fact, the video, like the text, the images that I was showing you is already some examples, but to take it a little further and show more examples and bring it into the context. One, storytelling and different possible narratives, right? So here is, there is a tool called PyAI. And the illustration is coming from DALL-E, which is part of OpenAI's suite. They are image creator, right? So it's possible to use PyAI to prepare or to propose different alternatives for a story. or different narratives, right? So, and also it's faster, and therefore we can just quickly come up with different, or ask it to propose different narrative, different combinations, all sort of different possibilities, complexities within the storytelling itself. This is an advertisement from Coca-Cola. So in fact, like there is no a single tool that can do all this in a single go as of now. However, multiple tools, they are put together, and video editing by people. This advertisement was created. In fact, there's also a video you can go and find on how this advertisement was generated. And so it's possible to have different ideas, right? So unconventional ideas, new ideas on things like expressions, redefining how an advertisement can be done. So as part of that video, you'd have also seen different inspirations, like for instance, the pearl earring, our girl with pearl earring image from the Renaissance, and a new version of it generated by GenAI, but with the thinking. So new ideas, new imaginations. So in fact, right into the early part of DALL-E and the generative AI tools, I believe at the beginning of last year, there was a competition, art competition in the Colorado State Fair, and a submission by, I can't remember the artist, using generative AI won the first prize. And this is what it generated. So obviously, those who have used tools like this would have realized it's not straightforward to generate an image like this. It takes a while, give the right instructions, and so on. And the limitations come with it. So here's another one, melting memories, a new form of art where you have what is known as these living paintings. Right? So it's possible to generate living paintings faster and easier compared to using non-Gen AI tools, because this sort of generation where you go make small changes and then make a video is faster using a tool automatically. Right? So that's more vibrant art, new things that you can do with Gen AI. So moving from movie art to music. So this music, I just took it from YouTube, and it was composed by GenAI tool called MuseNet, and by YouTube artist with the handle Teams. So there are also things like the tools like Spotify, which is very popular music player. They also have introduced things like a DJ for user experience using generative AI. So not here is another one using Midjourney, a house or a architecture designed for a pianist, right? A house that resemble a piano. So new ideas. Here is one more from culture. So attire, clothes, design, fashion design. By giving a prompt of this nature, the model's age, what is expected from the expressions, the image, the tradition, the attire, some details, you're able to generate images of this nature. So those are some examples, and where GenAI and arts cross each other, and how we can make use of it in different disciplines or different context, text, images, videos, music, and so on. So here are some tools that I used for making those. I already mentioned these names, most of them. DALL-E is one from OpenAI, now the DALL-E 2, MuseNet, and ChatGPT, the popular one, Copilot or Bing Chat from Microsoft. AI Duet, it's it's a piano. It's like AI piano. Midjourney is for again images. Insta painting is something that can take an image and make a painting for you based on the image. This sort of tools were popular even earlier before things like GenAI and ChatGPT becoming popular. For example, this is just an image I took a couple of weeks ago, and InstaPaint generating these different paints based on the image. We also can ask GenAI tools to make images for us, right? So here is some more examples. This is from the famous Starry Night painting, or the request is to make something similar. So one more from MuseNet. So just to highlight, GenAI doesn't always generate output. Different combinations, but some of those combinations will make good music. And it comes at very low cost, because all these combinations are generated by tools instead of a musician or a composer. So those are the different tools. So we started with an intro. We looked at situation, like examples, different type of examples, and then some tools. And now the limitations and ethical implications. Right? So what are the limitations of these tools? In fact, you already would have seen some limitations. But let me just start with
ChatGPT made a Where's Waldo picture.
Enjoy finding the
I'll see him, hide him in the crowd.
more effectively hidden in
The
the
whole point of Where's Waldo is to find him. You're showing me where he is.
He's much more challenging to find.
He's riding a white horse in the middle of the image. Shrink Waldo. Make him the same size as everyone.
Hope this makes the search more challenging.
He's looking right at me, behind the tent. Let me find him.
He's subtly positioned behind a.
Make it so hard, it would take me 1 minute to find Waldo.
See if you could.
Give me one Waldo. I see 3 in this picture.
Here's a new.
He's right there. Make him smaller. Blend him in with the crowd.
Let's see if you can find.
Make Waldo 10 times smaller. I don't want to just see him immediately.
He's much smaller and.
Fill the whole picture with Waldo without wearing hat. Hide one Waldo wearing a hat. So my mission is to find the Waldo with the hat.
So if you are working with certain tools and trying to make it to do exactly what you want to do, you might end up with frustration at points. So that's a limitation. But what are the ethical implications, right? So one, somebody can argue that it reduces now that Gen AI tools can generate, and therefore it can create. People who are supposed to be the one who usually create are going to be less creative or more, right? So that whether the human creativity is going to go down or decline, right? So that is arguable and another day to discuss. But something that you can always do is to combine human creativity or the intuition and the tools, right? So, for example, the video I'm just playing here in the background, the Coca-Cola ad, right? So, can we use the human intuition and the fast GenAI tools that can generate these very quickly, easily, right? So why it's being easy is because now the tools are going to just directly talk to the computer, the different devices within the computer, the different tools in the computer, all that, right? So if not, human has to get involved. The human-computer interface is still challenging compared to computers or software talking to the computer itself. Other concerns are lack of emotional depth, right? So we can even see, right? So in different examples, even the first one I took as a video from for making egg fried rice. So how depth, it's not emotional, but how depth it can understand cooking and the details of whether it understands those. So how long will it take for a model to do it? Another concern is misinformation. In fact, like when Gen AI tools like ChatGPT started, things like the misinformation was a very serious concern, and it still is. For instance, one, it can create things that are like very real, but not, right? So for example, all these different images, as you can see, the original and the one that are generated, they look very real. So they can generate images that look real, and the whole area of these deep fakes are possible. And that's a concern. And in addition to the misinformation, there is also other concerns, things like these tools can hallucinate, meaning they can generate output. They look very real, but they are not. They can bring different parts of different context of two different items together to make a new information, create a new information that's completely false. That's also possible with these sort of tools. A good example in the field of research is when we start, or even now, when we use a tool like ChatGPT, a text generator, to make or to prepare research text with some citations or with some research papers. It can generate research papers that are out of thin air, out of nowhere, right? So, however, those challenges were overcome by generating or preparing or customizing these tools and producing things like the Research GPT, where the model is trained on the actual data. actual like research papers. The example I gave along earlier in the my presentation on the consensus tool that uses 200 million research papers, and it generates proper citations because it only looks at those papers, not anything else. So it doesn't generate random or hallucinate for that matter. And the next thing is, can it pretend? Can it make things look real? No, on the deepfake like example. So if you're wondering, out of these 1, 2, 3, which images are real and which ones are not? In fact, like this one, the third one is real, and first and second are not. They were generated, but they look very real. So they are done by recent GenAI tools, like the latest Mid-Journey and so on. So they can generate really real-looking images that can be problematic. Other concerns, the ethical side, is intellectual property. So that, as you might know, the recent case by New York Times on OpenAI is related to the text that it's generating, from where they are coming. It's almost impossible for us to trace back the source of where these things are coming from, because the way how they are represented inside. And therefore, there are challenges and particularly intellectual property concerns in that matter. Right? So AI art, as you're going to do it for this competition, is not going to be illegal. But from where those are coming, how these tools train them, are still unclear areas. So it can also have, these tools can also have what is known as bias, meaning because these tools are, it's similar to how human can also have bias, right? So, but the good part about human is that human know that or knows that they are biased, and therefore they can take some remedies, hopefully. So these tools depends on from where they are trained. They can generate content that is biased towards certain culture, certain type of views, and so on. And also it has other concerns, things like these tools are trained based on certain amount of data, and it's going to know only that data, not anything new. The companies who are making these tools are trying to overcome those issues by integrating these tools with search facilities so that latest information can also be available. So what other concerns by this is things like the minority opinion are going to be left out. So minority, that's usually how the tools are going to work, because they are going to work based on the data that's out there, which is the majority opinion. So before wind up, the last part I want to just highlight is future trends, where we are heading. We are heading towards AI-driven human-machine collaboration. So can AI and human, so this is true, right? So whether AI is going to come and replace human is still debatable. And I don't think that's going to happen in the near future. However, the human who can work with or co-work or use AI are going to replace human who are no longer going to use AI. Or it happened with other technologies. It's going to happen with AI as well as another technology. So therefore, AI-driven human-machine collaboration is something that's going to take, we are seeing taking going forward. Various other places, things like AI-generated content, how it can impact on audience behavior, can people and AI when they come together, and other things that we had to focus on ethics, like I already mentioned. Can we prepare guidelines on how we to use, how not to use, and other areas that are also becoming easier and more accessible are areas like virtual and augmented reality. Things like this metaverse, where we have another universe of virtual reality, right? So, like I said, the traditional roles, if you don't adapt to technology, if you don't use AI, or if you learn how to work with AI or use AI to enhance your work ability, then you are going to be left out. That's where it's going to be. So that's all I have, and thank you for listening, and any questions?
I think, sir, we are having a question and answer session. I think we would ask the questions in that session.
Okay, thank you very much. So
A series of introduction being the part of magical world AI. We know you may have thousands of questions in your mind, and now the time is yours to ask the questions.
Yes, guys, please raise your hand and you can ask questions from the person. Okay, Randimal is the Randimal, you can go here. Start. Guys, just go ahead, go and ask your questions. Don't wait. Yeah, Omid, we can see you. Omid, okay, you can ask.
Amit, go ahead.
Hello, Professor.
Yes.
Professor Regal, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
My question is, could you share a specific example or case study where generative AI has played a role in solving a complex problem or driving innovation in the particular industry?
Okay.
My second question is another question. As we explore the generated AI as a transformative technology, can you?
Omid, can you hear me? Omid, can you hear me? Yeah, Omid, I think you have muted your mic and said the first question. So can you tell the first question? Yeah, tell the first question again, and you can go ahead because you have muted your mic and okay, go ahead.
Omid is not really talking, I think. I think Randimal is talking, right?
Okay, Randimal. Okay, Rand, I'm sorry.
So for the particular industry, can you give us an example for for complex problem? I just chat this question for you. If you can read the chat,
Yeah.
then it will be easy.
Yeah. So the first question is about whether GenAI has solved any specific problem, a specific example or case study where GenAI has played a important role, right? Solving complex problem. In fact, there are, I mean, we can look at a lot of examples from a lot of different areas, but then now that you are in education, or you are students, and therefore I can take an example from education. So, like in education, what's the most challenging problem, right? You all are going to, let's say now, university, you have lecturers, demonstrators, and
Exams.
Okay. Exams. So those are challenging problems. And Okay, so now that you mentioned about exams, how hard it is for you to score the best marks possible in an exam? Why is the challenge? In fact, educationists like have figured out it's possible to make you do really well or perform really well in education if we can provide enough support, right? Enough support is giving you, let's say, one-to-one tutoring, right? So somebody is sitting next to you and do tutoring. As you know, SLTC can't do it, right? Why not? Is because they don't have that much resources for one student, one teacher. But it's possible now with GenAI tools. It's possible to make a tutor personalized to you, can learn or understand your challenges and help you learn better and help you learn personalized, your own way of learning. There are companies who are making these changes, and there are already chat bots which uses GenAI to change the way how education works. So that's just an example. You can take examples from each other areas, like for instance, if you take something like self-driving cars or transportation as a big area, there are examples there. So like that, medicine, there are examples. Different places, there are examples of how AI can help, and how things like GenAI, which can also, which further pushes the boundary, take a step further, can also help. So in fact, there are reasonable number of examples on solving complex problems. So it's possible to use, actually computers are good at, or AI is good at solving complex problems, but the challenges are things like, can it be more creative? Can it be ethical? Can it have different, so the emotions, the depth of understanding, those are still AI can't do. And therefore, that is why we wanted, I was mentioning that we had to work together. So those who are in this field had to work together with AI to do such work. The next question is, can you elaborate on ethical consideration or challenges that may arise in its widespread adaptation? Responsible and ethical use of generative AI as a technique. So the next question is, how now that GenAI is a transformative technology, how can we use it considering while being ethical, right? So yes, it is a challenge. I mean, it used to be it always is a challenge when new technologies come. Whether we can use whether we can use it ethically. Like for example, if you take something like atom bomb, right? So a new technology, can it be used ethically? Yes, it was possible. Like for instance, atom bomb is not atomic energy is not now, at least also, although it's a threat, it is not used unethically for now. How we all come together, form ethics, form like guidelines, form rules, sign agreements, right? So something similar has to happen with AI as well, or Gen AI as well. In fact, like the only concern is how Gen AI is different to these other technologies is that Gen AI can make decision on its own, right? So now Gen AI being creative, Gen AI can communicate with others, Gen AI can come up with new things. So it can also make decision on its own, right? So the previous technologies, it was not possible. So there is still open, we require open dialogue discussions on how it can be limited, how it can be used, or how it can be ethical, right? So how we can use it ethically is still more challenging than the previous technologies. However, it's possible to do, right? So that's where we are in terms of the ethical use. What innovative applications or approaches do you envision in the intersection of generative AI and climate change mitigation and adaptation? That's an interesting question. The question is, can GenAI come and mitigate the climate change, or what it can do? So the problem, I know very little about. I know about like the implications of climate change, but I know very little about the policies, the inner working of how climate change is going to had to be mitigated. However, even things like what we are doing, this competition, which is more of an advocacy area. So obviously things like GenAI, in fact, like that is what you're also proposing, right? So AI in arts, so can we use GenAI to advocate against the climate change or the causes for climate change, right? So such things are easily possible. However, can we also use GenAI to make human understand the implications? So things like the video, the advertisements that were made using GenAI, impactful messages, can we make them easier, faster? That's another thing that we can consider. So I don't know whether we can just come up with like all-in-one solution that can just come and solve the climate change for us. That's not going to be working because.
So finally, those AI should be help us in the day-to-day life, right? But I also these questions are generated from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
That's why I'm talking here.
Yeah, I see that you have generated those questions using ChatGPT.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So the next one is how can a beginner get into a field of ML? Do we need to start mathematics? Okay, so the next question is on these questions has come directly to me, so I'll just read them out. The second question is a beginner how can get into ML, machine learning, whether they have to start with maths involved in ML. So to start, yes, one, you have to understand the mathematics or the statistics and mathematics behind it. And particularly if you want to develop ML tools, that is exactly what you need. But if you want to use ML tools, you also have to learn, you have to be an expert. So expert in your field, right? So let's say you can't expect a medical doctor to learn everything in statistics and maths to use ML and the GenAI tools. But they obviously, so the things like the GenAI tools now, and with all the human computer interface, meaning things like we can talk to, or we can just type plain English to a computer and or to a software like a ChatGPT, and can make it to do write programs, do various other things. The human computer interface is becoming easier, right? So earlier it used to be more challenging. If you want to make a robot to work, we had to write some code. Now, if you want the robot to work, we can ask a GenAI tool in text to write the code for us. So things are becoming easier in that sense. So not every other field had to learn ML and fundamentals behind it. But if you are going to be developing those tools, if you are going to work on those, obviously, yes. So you can work on, or you can go to classes, or you can study things like the big area AI itself, which is partly machine learning, but then there are a lot of other techniques that are used in AI, and machine learning being the most popular now. So you can learn those one by one. So that's about the learning question. The next one is, if I want to make a robot nurse, is there a method to use GenAI so that the nurse can understand something said in Sinhala and act on that same way, respond in Sinhala language? Yes, so I assume when you say nurse, you're talking about a software. If you want to make a hardware like a robot, that also is possible. But the software, things like Sinhala language model. So language model with Sinhala language is reasonably developed, because it depends on the data that it got trained on, the models that it got trained on. But now the new tools, even open, there are a number of open source tools. I mentioned some in my list as well. And even tools like ChatGPT, which is not open source, allows you to train their model on new data. So it's possible for you to train them in new data. I saw some examples that was discussed recently on someone trying Sinhala science O-level paper, if I'm right. And the ChatGPT gave pretty good answers, right? So in fact, like the one who tried, I said like it gave all the answers right. It's science in Sinhala medium, O-level paper, if I'm right. So it reasonably understand the existing large language model itself. However, it's possible to train those models, customize, train it with the data you have, and then use it for both giving input and producing out. So it's possible, but it's not out there. So it's something that you can work as a project. So it's something interesting that you can work on. That is for Kalana. And the next one is the field of large language models is incredibly competitive, with major players like Google and OpenAI constantly pushing the boundaries of AI capabilities. Google's access to vast data and research resources grants it significant advantages. Yet BART's output sometimes falls short of these. What do you think? So in fact, the models are not only data, right? So yes, data is a major part of it, but then there are also how the different parameters that are used. Like this data has, so the data of these models uses, if you know a little on machine learning and things like the large deep neural networks and the models, the parameters that are used are different. And things like companies like OpenAI had a head start. However, yes, other companies who have more data, you believe have more data, are there. So they can come there quickly. So the competition is going to be there. And also in the previous cases, technology and particularly tools, the first tool that came out was not the most popular tool out there. For instance, if you take search engines, Google is the search engine now, but it was not the first search engine that was out there, right? So therefore, we can't really, we are in a very short, like this is just 1 year into GenAI tools, like ChatGPT. So we need more time to see how things progress. And also there are a lot of other non-technical elements involved. We had to look for them as well, right? So it's not always technical competition between two different tools. There's also a lot of other corporate and non-technical matters involved. That's for Tanura, yeah. And the next one, is it possible to make new invention by the GenAI? For example, is it possible to find a new theorem in mathematics? Or is it possible to create a new engine with more fuel efficiency? As of now, so inventions, so this is the idea, right? So if the inventions are coming out of trying out a lot of different combinations, yes, GenAI tools can do it, right? So if you want to try out, like for instance, light bulb is an invention. But how it was done is by trying out so many different combinations of material and their properties and so on, right? So maybe a trial and error, right? So but now that we know more about, like the same example, let's say like light bulb, if you know more about their material properties and how they work together, conductivity, various other aspects, a tool can try these things out much faster and the combinations quicker, and eliminate the wrong ones faster because they are going to have vast amount of knowledge. So like it used to be like the sayings like when the light bulb was invented, the more learning was on the material that are not good for light bulb, right? So it's like that. These combinations type of work, yes, it's possible for tools like GenAI tools to come up with new ones, and like these different combinations. But completely coming up with a new idea, we want a light bulb. No, we are not there yet, right? So it cannot just come up with a totally new idea that was not the combinations of previous ideas. So, but the researchers are working hard on such problems, whether we can go to a place where yeah, this can be possible in the future. Time has to answer. That's all the questions that us out. Yes, thank you for all that interesting questions, and I enjoyed answering them.
Yeah, I think the questions are more and more, but we are dealing with the time. But yeah, thank you very much, Professor Roshan, for giving your valuable time for us. Especially the thing which is make me more interested is that the sir told about the different sides of the AI, especially the cultural things, the as well as generative AI, the new technologies as well as the future aspects. So that's great, and also sir, it's a great you it incredible session imparting such valuable knowledge to all our participants today at 2024. Your present added tremendous value. So again, much grateful for your profitable, beneficial, and highly valuable ideas. So Sarah.
So thank you, sir, for Mr. Roshan Ragil for the incredible session and imparting such valuable knowledge to all our participants today at GISLA 2024. Your presence added tremendous value and insight to our program, and your expertise and knowledge on the topic were truly invaluable. We would like to present this token to show our appreciation for taking the time to be with us this evening and for the invaluable sessions on generative AI. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.